So, hi, my name is Georgina Hallaby, and I'm a performance and well-being coach. And I've been lucky enough to know Maria for about 4 years now, since we went on a high-performance coaching course together. And I absolutely loved her book, Closer to Indigo, which I read about a year and a half ago. So I'm very delighted to be here, Maria, and to find out more about your fantastic book.
Oh, thank you, Georgina. I'm so glad that we're talking today, and I really appreciate your time. And I'm so glad we've known each other for 4 years, and I'm so glad we've stayed in touch. So I wrote this book, Closer to Indigo, and Georgina was like one of the first people, if not the first person, to read it.
It didn't take much persuasion. It was there on Amazon and I just downloaded it straight away. So I'm curious to find out because I notice obviously the color indigo and I notice you're wearing some purpley colors now. What's the importance of the name?
Indigo for me is that outer space color. It's that in between color that's really hard to describe. It's sort of a little bit blue, a little bit purple, a little bit black, and it's that color of mystery, and it's the color of your intuition. It's like this magical color. So the story is about how the main character, Maria Ponomarenko, how she's moving from the sort of physical reality life, and then she's moving closer and closer into her intuition and trusting more about her inner world more than her outer world. So that's the journey of it all. And I got the title, you may recall a band called the Indigo Girls, and they sang a song called Closer to Fine. And I was walking down the street with my playlist, and the song came on, and I was like, that's the title. So that's also in there as well.
Oh, I love that. Just direct inspiration. When you talked about that outer space color, that was it. I was already feeling that expansiveness. And I really enjoyed reading your book. I found it was very, very compelling. And I was particularly interested with your chapters. So the names of your chapters and also like the first few words were almost like nuggets of story in themselves. Can you explain a little bit about your style and how you use that for your chapters?
Oh, yes. Well, one of my interests are words and wordplay, etymology, and language, and how we communicate. Originally, the chapters were numbered, but as I was editing the book, I would have to renumber the chapters, moving things around, and it was getting tiresome. and I was reading this other book. The author had named the chapters, and I was like, you can do that? And I was like noticing how the chapters were cryptic in a way, but they referenced something in the rest of the chapter. So they were like a little bit of a clue, but really meant nothing, And so I thought, well, I looked at my first chapter and I thought, well, what could I do? And then all of a sudden it just jumped out to me, and I thought, well, the word that I came up with has what they call a portmanteau word. It's like it's got two words put together. Even if the spelling gets adjusted, or like a pun, like you can. And I started playing with these words, and they worked out. And like chapter after chapter after chapter, and I was like getting really excited about it. So definitely one of my favorite parts of the book, for myself, is the chapter naming.
Yeah, it was very clever. Kind of reminds me, I once went into a very posh restaurant and instead of it having, the menu, it would just have 3 or 4 little intriguing words about the main ingredients. And I'd be like, oh, that looks fantastic. And then you see the price, and it's okay. A lot per word. But yeah, it was really, really beautifully done. So I'm understanding a bit about your writing process, just in terms of how you're approaching the language itself. What else? Tell me more about your writing process.
Starts off as very stream of consciousness, like allowing the words to come through, like in my journaling. When I journal, I don't really care about grammar or anything like that, or spelling, or I just allow myself to write as best I can. And I really like those like Freudian slips. And I'm like, oh, like just little things that come out. So that's like part one, is just sort of to pour it out. And then to me, writing has to sound a certain way. So I'm a very auditory person, and the words have to come together and land together as like in a certain rhythm. Otherwise, it's not quite right. I got that from reading The Grapes of Wrath.
Oh, yeah, John Steinbeck, right?
Yeah. I remember reading it, and I was like, in the first part, like you could hear the cadence when they're in the wagon. He's coming home, and you could hear like, and I was like, it's there, but it's not there, and I was like, that's like, there's a certain rhythm in writing. And so when I go back to what I've poured out, then I start to craft it a little bit, and I start to like choose the words. It's like this word isn't quite right. I have to like, it has to have a certain amount of syllables. It has to have a certain meaning. And then I start piecing it together, and then like sort of tying it, weaving it like a cloth, like making sure that it all sort of flows, and constantly going back and crafting it and making it as best as I can.
It's almost Shakespearean, isn't it? How it's got that tempo. And I do, when I think back at your book, it's a very sensual book. When you say you're a very auditory person, I could still, in my mind's ear, hear you with your headphones on, listening to some tunes as you're out there running, or as you're setting the table, your attention to detail on all of the feast of foods. You're very, very sensual in terms of your description, and it's really very captivating. You can see it in your mind's eye, hear it in your mind's ear, and feel it. So it was very transportative, if that's a word. Yeah. Okay. So Maria, is there anything else that you want to share about your book to people that will make them rush out and read it?
Oh, yeah. This book is for people who are late bloomers, who like have a lot to offer, but never quite got very far, just sort of playing it safe through life. And this is about pushing yourself and just like breaking out of that shell and actually like expressing yourself and being who you really are authentically. So no matter where you are in life, if you're like going like this and you want to, and then all of a sudden maybe this will help you go and start this whole new path, as your more authentic, more enlivened self. This is for anybody who's like an introvert, or someone who's a writer or artist, who loves to travel, who wants to go places and explore new things, even at this stage of life. So I did that at 50. So yeah, it's never too late. Life's too short to just sit around and play it safe all day. You gotta break out and do it. And I'm here for anyone who wants help with that.
Yeah, so everyone go out there, find your own indigo and get closer. Yeah.
Okay.
I really feel that, and it's actually been a real pleasure, Maria, watching you in your own life and in your own journey. Go out there with bravery, with courage, just absolutely fearlessly step into growth. And so it's just so nice seeing you do this, and also reading about, our heroine Maria in the book do that too. So where can people find Closer to Indigo?
So you can find it on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble online. And as of last week, I have paperbacks available in local bookstores here in Victoria, British Columbia, which is where the book is set. So there's Russell Books and Bolin Books that are now carrying copies of my book for people to buy, so don't have to pay for shipping. And then also I've been accepted as a local emerging author here in the Greater Victoria Public Library. So for 2024, I'm going to be featured. So I'm really excited about that. So that's brand new. So if you want to go to Victoria Library, maybe expand beyond that in the future. And that's it. That's where you can find Closer to Indigo. Yeah, in either ebook or in paperback.
Okay, and amazing. I assume that you're going to put all of your links below, right? And also, Maria is an amazing coach, and she does magic with crystals. So if you're after some energy and healing work, put those links below. I can personally vouch for her. And yeah, go find your indigo. Thank you ever so much, Maria.
Oh, thank you, Georgina. I really appreciate this.
My pleasure.